So one of the things I think is really exciting about choosing what you're going to study at university is the idea of the sort of the step forward, but also the step slightly into the unknown, and building on the passions that you already have, or the interests you already have, but also discovering others. And this is one of the most exciting things about Royal Holloway's Comparative Literature and Culture course. It's a course that is effectively for critical thinking, creative thinking, hungry, greedy people. People who want everything. People who want to look not only at literature, but also perhaps at film and art, at maybe also some philosophy. People who might have enjoyed English literature or another art subject, sort of essay-based subject, but who really want to develop their understanding of the ways in which stories have been told in attempts to make sense of the world at different times, in different places, in different ways, through different media, and how those ideas and images and representations travel, collide, cross-fertilise, and create some of the most extraordinary books, films, and artworks across the world. And who has access to those ideas and images and ways of attempting to make sense of the world. So we've developed our unique Comparative Literature and Culture course to enable creative, culturally aware thinkers to explore the world across time, place, and different ways of representing experience through novels and poetry, art, drama, film, and philosophy, to explore how ideas have circulated across the world, how people have tried to make sense of them, how people have tried to make sense of their own identity, and the challenges that they're facing in different times and different places, and the intersections and divergences of those across the world. So it's really a course about broadening horizons. So if you've enjoyed, say, English literature or history or another essay-based topic, essay-based subject at A-level or at international baccalaureate level, this is the course for you, because you can go even more broadly. And you can go broadly, but also we structure the course so that you can specialise. We develop in our core courses your comparative skills and your skills for dealing critically with novels, and if you're interested, film, art and philosophy as well. Not just novels, but all kinds of literature. And then we have a wealth of options which you can take to either go as broad as you like or to specialise in particular areas, be they geographical, be they particular kinds of writing or film or art. And this makes for people who are at once really quick and diverse thinkers, but are also able to gain a lot of knowledge in one area. So let me tell you a little bit about what it's like to study comparative literature and culture. I mean, we have wonderfully small groups, which makes for a really inclusive but discursive atmosphere, and people who choose to study comparative literature and culture are in general people who are interesting and interested, so there's loads of great discussion. In first year, we have a core course which introduces students to what we consider to be the core skills of comparative study, looking at different ideas in different times and places and from across the world. And of course, as I've already mentioned, all of the materials are either in English or in translation. So although we're looking at text from across the world, we always have that accessible to us in English. And we do, of course, problematise the questions of translation involved in that. But in our first year, our core course is designed to touch on a number of interlocking issues. We look at 4 key texts, and like satellites around them, we have other texts which are in dialogue with those core texts. So we look at the Iliad, so we go back to ancient Greece to look at the Iliad. and look at how that story and questions of what is a hero or what is not a hero has changed over time, and how those stories are retold in the present day by women, by people from other parts of the world. We then move on to a 19th century French writer, Flaubert, and a story of his which is about a woman, about a very religious woman, but it's also about language, and it also enables us to bring into question the way that language may or may not work more or less accurately to describe the world, but also questions of gender, of class, of race, of opportunity. We then move on to an amazing text by a North African writer called Assia Djebar, The Women of Algiers in Their Apartment. We speak back to the previous text by Flaubert to talk more about gender and bring in questions of intersectionality and sexuality. We also talk about issues to do with colonialism, post-colonial politics, to do with race, to do with talking about race, to do with questions around the representation and understanding of the politics, for example, of veiling as well. And we bring art in here at this point as well. We bring a 19th century romantic artist, and we bring Pablo Picasso for the 20th century in as well, and their representations of women in Algeria into that section of the course. So you can see how that's talking backwards and sideways into the other elements, building this comparative picture of questioning horizons. And then the final text we look at is a text from South America. It's a magical realist text, and it's a text again that looks at class, but through which a lens for us to look at how literature can bring into questions issues of class, of gender, of what love is, of passion, of the stories we tell ourselves about the world that we live in and the people that we think we're in love with, about opportunity, and about ethnicity, and about the value of literature, but also the danger of over-reading, not reading critically. And again, we have other texts which come into dialogue with this text, which is called Love in the Time of Cholera. We're working on these texts together, and we're working on them reflectively and ongoingly. So the assessment for this core course is also about continually refining ideas, coming back to ideas, bringing more ideas to play, and thinking reflectively. So there's a kind of portfolio aspect to our learning in this course. And at the same time, you are selecting from a whole bunch of other novels to do with literature, to do with film, to do with art, whichever way you want to go, or whichever ways you want to go. Keep it broad, make your own path. All in translation as well, all in English, from across the world and from across a whole raft of different time periods. In second year, you then go on and refine this process by looking at more particular critical ways of looking at the world. So we cover literary and cultural theories to do with the critique of gender, class, sexuality, well, the critique of received ideas to do with gender, class, sexuality, and race. So we're bringing into question things which might previously have gone without saying, and we're using literature and film and art and philosophy to do those things, and to bring into question the circulation or of ideas. Who's had the access to ideas and to images across the world? Again, there are all sorts of options that you're able to draw on for the course. And then in final year, it's really the time to pursue your own passions, or develop new ones with a dissertation if you wish, or from a whole raft of other options as well.